about that place. Even your emotion had an echo in so much space. When you out there without care, I was out of tone. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no. I just know too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul. You think you're in control. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. Just like me. My heroes had the heart, lose their lives out on the land. And all I remember.
Hello, everybody. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Guys, tell me in the comments below. Go ahead and break it down for me. If I am loud and clear, if I am coming to you in HD with no interruption whatsoever, tell me in the comments below. You need to break it down for me, guys. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend and you're ready. Oh, you're ready for a brand new day. I was just vlogging a moment ago. And for those of you that watch our live street vlogs, I walked up to a lady. She was wearing a DG Dolce & Gabbana t-shirt. And I said to her, have you ever heard of Dolce & Gabbana? And as you know, Dolce & Gabbana are Italian fashion designers. And she had no idea. And it just shows you how in our country, nobody wears stuff because they believe in the product. Everybody wears stuff because it's an item of clothing. In Zambia, when you see someone walking around with a Bulls t-shirt that says Bulls Jordan 23, it doesn't necessarily mean that that young man or young lady is a Bulls fan. It just simply means that they bought it and they are wearing it as an item of clothing. Very different from the way they do it over there in stateside. Stateside, when you buy stuff, you believe in the product. You believe in the t-shirt that you're wearing. Okay, and I think over time we need to change that as a culture. I do. Guys, before we get into our main topic, let me make mention. I was watching Wachishimba Kambwili the other day. He was doing a live address, and I noticed that he's beginning to take some of our advice. Slowly but surely, because remember, in the past, Wachishimba Kambwili would sit there and wait for the live audience to build. He would never say anything. He would just sit there, very stoic, almost statuesque, and there'd be a guy behind the camera that would sort of indicate to him that a healthy audience has been amassed, therefore he can begin his dissertation or his discourse, as he likes to refer to it. Well, a few days ago, I noticed, and I complained about this. I had said to Achishimba Kambwili, Bakambwili, when you're doing a live broadcast, engage with your audience. Talk to them. Something, like what you do is you get your phone and you look here, you say, hello, everybody. Oswald Mwansa, you're very loud and clear. Thank you, Oswald. Thank you, Natasha Mwewa. You're loud and clear. Somebody said, watching you from Kalumbila. Macky 2 is arrogant, and he is not doing that for the first time. Bo Allen. Hello, Bo Allen. Do things like that. You are engaging with your audience. Because, guys, here's the thing. In case you haven't heard or in case you are not aware, people love to hear their names on a live broadcast. They just love it. I love it. If I'm watching somebody's broadcast, whether it's Alice Rollins or Emmanuel Mwamba or Dr. Nevis Mumba or whoever it is, and they happen to mention my name because they see my comment, people love that. So engage with your audience. And so Bakambwidi was, I saw him, he's treading the waters a bit because, he kept up. But the only thing, though, he kept on saying the same thing over and over again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining. He said it like 50,000 times. As soon as he got to like the 60,000 mark, I almost got on the phone and I almost called him. And I almost said, Bakambwidi, could you quit saying thank you very much? You've said that 50,000 times. What you're supposed to do is engage with your audience. Anyway, but I like the fact that he's slowly changing. He's slowly getting into it, and I was very pleased to see that. Okay. All righty. Guys, let's very quickly, before we get to the main topic, let me just very quickly mention Sean Tembo. Sean Insane Tembo. You guys know who the scoundrel is. This guy touts himself as one of the smartest people in the world, which he's not. And let me explain why. A few years ago, Sean Tembo was embroiled in some type of scandal over there, financial scandal there in Botswana. Let me bring it up to speed to you or for you. Basically, he was paid by the Ministry of Health in Botswana to do some work. He did the work, he was paid. Well, later on, a professor from a renowned university in Botswana called Sean Tembo out and said that the work that Sean Tembo produced was plagiarized. It wasn't his body of work. He just basically copy and pasted, and he got paid for something that he didn't work for. Sean Tembo decides to sue the professor for defamation. Sean Tembo lost that case. He fled Botswana, fearing arrest and consequent, conviction. He left a young family over there, left Botswana, came to Zambia to begin a new life. Guys, these are the people that call themselves leaders. These are the people that want to lead you into the next century. These are the people. These are the people that call themselves spick and span leaders when they've got a trail of financial indiscipline. Then they come here to Zambia. And this is a great thing about the internet. And this is an issue that Sean Tembo has repeatedly avoided, repeatedly sidestepped, repeatedly sort of pushed back against. Anytime someone asks him this all elusive, all encompassing question about his financial misdeeds in the country of Botswana, he tries to sidestep it. Now, here's the thing. If you want to be president, you got to be willing to take the hits. Boom, there's a statement right there for you. Okay, let's be clear about that. If you want to be president of any country, you have to be willing to take the hits, meaning you have to be willing to face the tough questions. You can't avoid questions. What the hell are you doing? Who the HE double hockey sticks do you think you are? If you can sidestep a question, you've got no business being president. It's not rocket science. That's just a fact. So here it is, Sean, he's got this financial thing that he never wants to talk about. He wants to talk about everything else except that. He wants to talk about everything else under the sun. He'll talk about geology. He'll talk about trigonomics. He'll talk about economics. He'll talk about the weather. He'll talk about the animal kingdom. He will talk about the here and yonder, but he will never talk about that scandal in Botswana. That tells you something. That's telling you something. Zambian people, put a line through Sean Tembo's name instead of under it. He's a scoundrel. Scoundrel, I tell you. Okay, anyway. So Sean was arrested a few days ago. And here's the thing. He's been charged with hate speech. But here's the thing about Sean. Sean says so many ridiculous things on the internet, you actually lose track of what he said last. Have you guys noticed this? I want that to sink in for a moment. Let that sizzle in your spirit for a second. Let that marinate in your soul. Let that wallow in your cerebellum. Sean, what did I say? Now it's gone. I don't know. Is it age? I just forgot what I just said. When you get to my age, that happens. You say stuff and boom, it just leaves you. Anyway, whatever I said, let's go with that. Sean is Sean. He's in a different world. He really is. So you lose track. That's right. That's what I was saying. Because Sean has said so many ridiculous, outlandish things, you lose track of what he said last. So when I heard that he was arrested, I was like, for what? Because he said so many things. You're not able to pinpoint what he said because he said 50,000 different things. You know, so anyway, he will get his comeuppance. You cannot present yourself as a political leader that provides checks and balances when all you do is insult the head of state with impunity. All you do is disrespect the office of president with impunity. There's nothing wrong with proper checks and balances. Look at your friend Emmanuel Mwamba. Those are checks and balances. When Emmanuel Mwamba is speaking, he speaks with a level head. Yes, he's an opposition leader, but his dissertation is partisan politics. It's not insolence. It's not insele. It's not tukutukabakateka. No, it's checks and balances. Every democratic society needs that. Nay, it is critical for a democratic society to have checks and balances. What we don't need are politicians like pseudo politicians, patty cake, baker man politicians like Sean Tembo, who wake up in the morning and all they do is insult the office of president. All they do is denigrate the office of that position. No. So, Sean, you're going to get your comeuppance. One way or another, you will get your comeuppance. It's a law. It's the law of reaping and sowing. That's what it is. All right. Let's talk about Macky 2. Now, I must tell you, first time I saw Macky 2 do this, I understood him. I did. You guys remember the story. He came down here to Simoson and everybody here they just lost their minds because, we don't always get celebrities of that caliber here. He came here and I remember when the crowd approached him, one of our guys, when I say our guys, I'm talking about a member of our community here, Spider. Incidentally, I haven't seen Spider in the last couple of weeks. I hope Spider, you better be alive. Wherever the heck you are, you better be alive. So I haven't seen Spider in a while. Well, Spider wanted to run up to Macky 2 and hug him. And Mac did this. He did a Floyd Mayweather move with his shoulders. It's called the the power push. It's called the Macky 2 power push. That's what I call it. Okay. So he did that, and Spider sort of went back, and I could see Spider was shocked. He was like, what just happened? But then in that moment, I noticed that everybody around realized, oh, Macky 2 doesn't like to be rushed. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because, he's had a bad experience with the fan or with the crowd. Because, these stars, these musical stars, the stuff they go through, it's very easy for you and I to sit here and judge them, but we're not them. We don't have fanaticals for fans. When people see me, they say, when people see people like Macky 2 and Yo Maps and, these big stars, people lose their minds. It's not like when they see me, who am I? But when they see Macky 2 and Yo Maps, people lose their minds. So it's not right for you and I to judge Mac and say, well, he shouldn't have done that, because we don't know what he's been through. He's probably been traumatized before with the fan. And I said it earlier. I did say this yesterday, and I'll say it again. Danny Masikwonse, whom I'm a huge fan of. I love Danny. Years ago, my wife and I invited Danny over for dinner. This was back when he first came out with the album Wushemailo, Finishing Kalia, Wushemailo, Finishing Kalia, Defionava, Nowewadi Shiva, Defionava, Nowewadi Shiva, Defionava, Nowewadi Shiva, Shishive Chankolele. When he came out with that album, my wife and I, we invited him over for dinner. He came over. We had such a great time. And I've known Danny for years. I've known him for so many years. He's such a great guy. He's one of those nice guys, you just want to hang out with him. Well, Danny told my wife and I a story, very heartbreaking. He says, fans sometimes are crazy. He said, I remember one time I was performing somewhere. It was on the Copper Belt somewhere. He says, on my way to the stage, a fan literally took one of my little dreads and he pulled it out of my hair. And I looked, and, blood was coming out. And when I looked at him, I really thought he was going to say, oh, sorry, boy. That fan looked at me and said, I've paid a lot of money to be here. I hope you're worth it. Can you, that's how, there's some crazy people out there. So here's the deal. This is what I saw. This was my assessment of that event. Now, I know the young man that was recently pushed, that recently experienced the Macky 2 power push. I know he's since come onto social media and he's complained. And he said, look, I want an apology from Macky 2. Now, listen very closely to what he said. He said, he was hired as one of the co-presenters or the co-hosts. Excuse me. Now, you must understand, a star's job, a musician's job, is not to be acquainted with all the hosts. The organizers don't sit with the artist and say, okay, tuana kwata ma host 50. So, aba 50, uyuni Chibamba, uyuni Katere, uyuni Hamanyanga, uyuni Hamsankwa, uyuni Mutale. The stars don't know the hosts, and they've got no business knowing the hosts. It should be clear, cut, and straightforward. When a star is introduced, they get on stage, they have a repertoire, they have a litany of songs that they're going to sing. They've got a set to do. Okay, they have a catalog, a performance that they're going to met out to the crowd. What is first and foremost on the star's mind is the performance. The performance comes first. So whenever you get some guy, and I've seen it, when stars perceive you as an unruly fan that has jumped on the stage and you're going to disturb his performance, because let's face it, if you disturb a fan's performance, you're making the performer look bad. And they don't want that, especially when you get to the caliber of Macky 2 and Yo Maps. I mean, those guys are high-profile performers. I mean, they're really up there, okay? So my assessment was that Macky 2 didn't really know who that kid was. He just thought he was just some unruly fan that had overstepped his boundaries and wanted to maybe hug Macky 2 and Mac didn't like that very much. So he did the power push. Boom! Anyway, I support him and I think that was the right thing to do. Somebody says nonsense. Well, that's your opinion. That is your opinion. Who's that? Trevor. Trevor says nonsense. Well, that's your opinion. What would have happened if that guy hit his head after that push and he met his death? Yes, that could have been a possibility. And then this conversation would have changed altogether. This would be a completely different conversation. So what needs to begin to happen now is that we're having a conversation about the way stars treat their fans or potential fans and the way fans should treat stars. That's what this conversation is about. So I think moving forward from this point on, I think both parties need to sort of understand their positions and operate within their zones. That's not always possible to do. And as I said in my article yesterday, it's fine and dandy to power push one fan, but are you going to be able to power push 3,000 fans who come at you? It's not possible, So, but my message is this: people need to understand why he did that. It's not so much about the power push; it's the why. Okay, it's the why. Why? What led him to do that? And I believe it's those reasons that I've presented to you. Here's somebody says he should have just avoided him, using other ways than pushing him like that. Well, in retrospect, yes. That old saying, everything is perfect in hindsight. When you look back and say, well, maybe I shouldn't have done it that way. Maybe I should. Everything is 2020 in hindsight. You must understand that. But when you're in the moment, you do stuff, Somebody says Mac must apologize, and that's up to him. Far be it from me to tell him what to do. He's the man. If he truly feels that he was wrong, he should apologize. Muka says the truth is that he was wrong, and that's all. Social media. What advice would you give to Macky 2? I think that this is my advice. I think that he needs to understand he's a big star. But again, I must tell you, I totally understand why he did that. Because fans get crazy sometimes, and you don't know who that person is. You don't know who that person is. They could have a knife. They're crazy people out there. Just the other day, Drew Barrymore, the little girl, she acted in the film E.T. Well, she was doing a talk show junket thing. She had a guest on stage, and some guy, just some random guy from the crowd, starts to yell, "Drew Barrymore." And Drew Barrymore, for a moment, thought that it was a sane fan. Well, come to find out, it was some crazy person. That's what we're dealing with. Guys, don't think that everybody out there is nice and polite and has good intentions. You must, the problem with Zambians, you've got this idea of a pie in the sky. Just a few hours ago, I was listening to some guy talking about how Zambian girls, when they go to bars, they're so naive. People put drugs in their drinks. Why? Because Zambian girls that go to bars, they think that everybody's good-natured. They think that everybody's nice. No, the world is not full of nice people. The world is full of wolves, ravenous wolves. and they're waiting to put you on a plate and devour you like raw meat. They desire to sift you as wheat. So don't sit there and no, Macky too should have. You never know who's one day, if you know one day muntu aya stage, I'm a knife. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Which also brings up the issue of security. Security has to be on point. They really do. In closing, let me just say this. I truly believe that Macky didn't know that guy was part of the deal. He just thought it was some indisciplined fan that just jumped on stage to disturb Macky 2's performance. And stars don't like that. They want to deliver the best for the audience. They don't want to be inconvenienced. Okay? All right. Okay. All right. Somebody said, imagine approaching a person with your camera and then you get a power push. Well, I've had worse than that. I'll tell you that. Hey, guys, thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye.